The Learning Edge Monthly webcast for the month of March is titled 3 Keys to Improve Supervisory and Other Interpersonal Relationships. Before we think about how to improve those relationships, we need to think about a couple of things. One is that there are all kinds of interpersonal relationships. Supervisory relationships are one of those. They, in fact, are an interpersonal relationship, and we will talk about that one specifically here today. The second thing that's important to remember is that when we have a conversation with someone, that conversation should have two objectives. One objective is to accomplish whatever it was that we set out to do, but the other is to improve the interpersonal relationship, to increase the trust. Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People had a really good idea for how to think about what we're talking about. He called it the emotional bank account. And what he was talking about there was that anytime we have an interpersonal relationship, we put deposits in. Encouragement, compliments, smiles. We also can take withdrawals, anger, broken promises, lies. So what are some of the ways that we can, or some of the most important ways to improve the emotional bank account? We want to talk about 3. The first one is make that conversation a priority. Particularly if this is a substantive issue that we're talking about, the conversation should be the only thing we're concerned about. Not worrying about how long it's going to take, not worrying about something else, not looking at our watch, not checking our phone, but make that conversation a priority. The second thing is that we need to listen. We tend to view listening as a passive activity. It really should not be. It should be just as active, if not more active, than speaking, because we're listening to the words. We're also listening to the emotions behind those words that portrayed in the tone of voice, in the actions, the body language of the employee. In fact, we talk about active listening, and that's really the way we should think about it. One way that I like to encourage people to be better listeners is to get in the habit, especially in substantive conversations, of pausing for a short period after each time the other person is finished speaking, a second or two at the most. This provides 3 advantages. 1, you show that you're really listening. 2, you avoid interrupting when they just stop to take a breath. And most importantly, you actually hear the other person better. The third way to make deposits into the emotional bank account is to ask questions. Instead of always stating your opinion, ask questions so that you are sure that you understand what the other person is saying, how they're feeling, and ask questions for additional information. One of my favorite questions is, tell me more, because usually people stop talking before they've said everything that's on their mind. Tell me more gives them an opportunity to continue talking. So, we really need to focus on 3 priorities to improve our interpersonal relationships with employees and everyone else that we know. 1, make the conversation your only priority. 2, use active listening, including the pause. And 3, ask questions for clarification and additional information.